Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. This is Angie Rodriguez, District 39 Director, and we're going to talk tonight about another section of your Pathways project. Tonight we'll cover the Part 1 section of any project in Pathways. Now, I am going to use the Engaging Humor path as our example, and every path may differ slightly, but the basic structure will be the same, and you should be able to follow along. Here we are at our Pathways Learning Dashboard. Remember that every time you open up Pathways, it defaults to looking at the Learning Dashboard. Let's go into our Engaging Humor path. Now, if you recall from the previous video, on just a basic layout and a map of how this project is laid out, we discussed the Mastering Fundamentals section, which is a summary page of what you're going to do in Level 1. And we also looked at the Checklist and Completion section, which is also a layout of exactly what you need to do in Level 1 to complete the level. We're going to move on now to the first project, which is the Icebreaker project. I'd like to make one note here because I've gotten many questions, the same question actually, about why do we have to do the Icebreaker project over and over and over again? The basic philosophy of Pathways starts from you, the learner. And if you approach it that way, whatever skills you have already, then you add pathways to it to enhance those skills. Then you start working on your Icebreaker project Engaging Humor, and that project will have a very different flavor, if you will, than an Icebreaker project in Motivational Strategies or Presentation Mastery, because you talk about yourself as the learner, giving your audience information about you from the standpoint of Engaging Humor or from the standpoint of Motivational Strategies. And in that way, your icebreaker is different every single time you give the speech. So let's move on to the icebreaker. And again, you'll note that when I click on the boxes on the left-hand side here, they are highlighted. They correspond to what page you're on the right-hand side of our page. So this is our first page of the icebreaker, a little bit about what the Icebreaker project is all about. And as you scroll down, you will come to some resources. You have the project checklist, the evaluation form or resource. You can print your project from here, and you have the speech outline worksheet. Let's take a look at a couple of those forms real quick. So the Icebreaker project checklist looks like this. It simply is a project checklist for how to do this project. You're going to give a 4 to 6 minute speech. You do need to schedule it with your Vice President of Education. Some people like to write their speech. You definitely want to rehearse it to make sure you're within that 4 to 6 minute time frame. And then there's some other helpful hints on how to complete this icebreaker speech. The evaluation form is a fillable PDF form. So once you download it, you'll notice I can actually type the member's name in here. And once the blanks are all filled in, I can save it. I could send it to my evaluator from here, but there's another way to do that from within your project. And then finally, the speech outline worksheet is just a worksheet to help you write this speech. You may not have the title right away. You could come back to that one, but it's going to ask you some questions about what you want your main points to be. Maybe you'll talk about why you joined Toastmasters, what your goals are. You're just telling the club something about yourself in a 4 to 6 minute speech. So let's go back to our Pathways icebreaker. I could now hit the next box, or that corresponds to the next box on the left-hand side here. Either one of those will get us to the next page. So I'll click Introduction and Assignment. Scrolling down, this is where that tells us what our project is all about. An opportunity to share something about yourself. This will be a 4 to 6 minute speech. And the purpose of your assignment, to introduce yourself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Again, I can hit next or go to the left-hand side. This time we'll click next. And you'll notice that corresponds to the highlighted box on the left. This is the Learning in the Icebreaker section. This section is new to Pathways as of October of 2025. This is what's called the No Wonder section. And this is an area where you want to start and reflect on yourself, on your own learning, assess your own skills and learning, and you'll actually write that in this section here. What do you already know about giving an icebreaker speech? There may be quite a bit that you already know. And what other things do you wonder that are possible with an icebreaker speech? These are not required boxes, but they're extremely helpful for you, the learner, and your own growth in Toastmasters. We scroll down. Very important section of our project is the competencies section. This is where Pathways is telling you this is what you should get out of this project. You should be able to learn the basic structure of a speech. You should learn the difference between preparation and spontaneity in your speech. Do you want to memorize your speech, or is it better to just have bullet points and deliver the speech from the bullet points? You definitely want to learn the value of the feedback you're going to get from your evaluator and from all your club members in the little love notes that they send you after your speech. You'll learn how to accept that feedback graciously and learn how to use that in future speeches. That's the end of part 1. Next video, we'll cover part 2.